31, 32. Mutlab and Mutlab ben. An expression included in the superscription of one of David's Psalms PS9, traditionally said to mean concerning the death of the son. Some commentators suggest that it indicated to the musical director the name or perhaps the opening words of a familiar song that furnished the melody to be used in singing this psalm. One possibility of the word's meaning is advanced by the Targum, in which the superscription of Psalm 9 reads, "On the death of the man who came forth from between the camps," alluding to a champion. The apparent reference here is to Goliath, the Philistine champion whom David defeated in battle between the Israelite and Philistine. O textoi acute miritra longo. Mystery 455 is threshing grain. 1t5. 17, 18 Also, as part of Paul's reasoning to show the Corinthians that the Lord ordained for those proclaiming the good news to live by means of the good news, he quoted Deuteronomy 25. 4 and then wrote, "Is it bulls God is caring for? Or is it altogether for our sakes he says it? Really for our sakes it was written, because the man who plows ought to plow in hope and the man who threshes ought to do so in hope of being a partaker." 1 Co 9. 8-14. The psalmist David used muzzle figuratively when he said that he set one as a guard to his mouth to keep from sinning. PS 39. 1. Myra, a major city in the province of Lycia. Situated near the coast of Asia Minor, Myra occupied a hill about 3 kilometers to mainland on the river Andricus. The site is now known as Dema. The ancient name Myra apparently embraced both the city and its excellent harbor. As a prisoner bound for Rome, the Apostle Paul arrived at Myra from Caesarea by way of Sidon. There he and his traveling companions had to transfer to grain ship from Alexandria that was sailing for Italy. Act 27. 1-6, 38 Myra was due of Alexandria and therefore may have been on the regular route of ships from that Egyptian city. Or, it may be that contrary winds. Act 27. 4-7 forced the Alexandrian vessel to change its course and drop anchor at Myra. At Acts 21. 1 Some ancient texts add in Myra after Patara. CJB, NE, RSFTNS. Although this addition would not be out of harmony with the rest of the account, there is insufficient evidence for determining whether the name Myra actually appeared in the original manuscript. Myrrh. An aromatic gum resin. Cur 1. 13. 4. 6, 14. 5. 1, 13 Its precise source in ancient times is uncertain. But generally myrrh is the resin obtained from various thorny shrubs or small trees of the genus Comifera, such as Comifera myrrha or Comifera abyssinica. These shrubs thrive in rocky areas, particularly on limestone hills. Their wood and bark have a strong odor. Although the resin exudes by itself from the stem or from the thick and stiff branches of either variety, the flow can be increased by means of incisions. Initially the resin is soft and sticky, but, upon dripping to the ground, it hardens. Myrrh was one of the ingredients for the holy anointing oil. X30. 23-25 Esteemed for its fragrance, it was used to scent garments, beds, and other items. Compare PS 45. 8. PR 7. 17. K3. 6, 7. The Shulamite maiden of the Song of Solomon appears to have applied liquid myrrh to her body before retiring for the night. K5. 2, 5 Massages with oil of myrrh were included in the special beauty treatment given to Esther. As 2. 12 Myrrh was also one of the substances employed in preparing bodies for burial. Joe 19. 39, 40 It was apparently viewed as having sufficient value to be presented as a gift to one born king of the Jews. Mount 2. 1, 2, 11. Myrtle Heb. Headers. The myrtle myrtus communis grows as either a shrub or a tree and is common in Israel and Lebanon, growing well in stony soil. It is capable of reaching a height of 9 meters, 30 feet, but is usually found as a shrub 2 to 3 meters, 7 to 10 feet high. An evergreen, it is quite bushy in branch structure and has thick, shiny, dark green leaves. It blossoms with clusters of fragrant white flowers that mature into blue-black berries. Almost the entire plant has a fragrant spicy oil used in perfumes. The berries, though aromatic, are edible. The myrtle is found today particularly in Upper Galilee and the Valley of the Jordan, but it also grows in the Jerusalem area, as it evidently did at the time of Zechariah's vision recorded at Zechariah 1. 8-11, 16. Fragrant branches of myrtle were used along with the branches of other trees to cover the temporary outdoor huts or booths used by the Hebrews during the festival of booths. Eni 8. 14, 15. In the Restoration prophecies the myrtle tree with its otex toi acute muritra longo 456 Naram pleasant. Son of Caleb, Jephunneh's son, of the tribe of Judah. 1 ch 4. 1, 15. Naaminara middle dotmer pleasant. 1. Descendant of Cain. Sister of Tubal Canaan the daughter of Lamech by Zillah. Ge 4. 17-19, 22. 2. Ammonite wife of Solomon and mother of Hobom. 1 Chi 14. 21. 2 ch 12. 13. 3. A Judean city in the Shephelah. Jos 15. 20, 33, 41. Its exact location is uncertain. Naamanara middle dot man from a root meaning be pleasant. 1. A grandson of Benjamin through his firstborn Bela. 1 ch 8. 1-4, 7. Having founded a family, the Naamites in the tribe of Benjamin U 26. 40. Naaman himself is elsewhere listed as one of the sons of Benjamin. Ge 46. 21. 2. A Syrian army chief of the 10th century BCE during the reigns of Jehoram of Israel and Ben-Hadad II of Syria. Naaman, a great, valiant, mighty man held in esteem, was the one by whom Jehovah had given salvation to Syria. 2 Chi 5. 1. The Bible gives no details as to how or why Naaman was used to bring this salvation to Syria. One possibility is that Naaman headed the Syrian forces that successfully resisted the efforts of Assyrian king Shalmaneser III to overrun Syria. Since, by remaining free, Syria formed a buffer state between Israel and Assyria, this may have served the purpose of slowing down Assyria's aggressive push in the W until Jehovah's due time to allow the northern kingdom to go into exile. Cured of leprosy. Naaman was a leper, and while Assyrians did not demand his isolation as Jehovah's law required of lepers in Israel, yet to learn how he might be cured of this loathsome disease was indeed welcome news. Such news came to him through his wife's Israelite slave girl who told of a prophet in Samaria who could cure leprosy. Immediately Naaman set out for Samaria with a letter of introduction from Ben-Hadad II. However, Israelite King Jehoram, after receiving him with coolness and suspicion, sent him to Elisha. Elisha did not meet Naaman personally but, instead, had his servant tell Naaman to bathe 7 times in the Jordan River. His pride hurt, and apparently feeling he had unceremoniously and fruitlessly been run from one place to another, Naaman turned away in a rage. Had his attendants not reasoned with him and pointed out the reasonableness of the instructions, Naaman would have returned to his country still a leper. As it turned out, he bathed the 7 times in the Jordan and was miraculously cleansed, the only leper whom Elisha was instrumental in curing. 2 Chi 5. 1-14. 4. 27. Becomes worshipper of Jehovah. Now filled with gratitude and humble appreciation, the Syrian army chief returned to Elisha, a distance of perhaps 50 kilometers 30 mi, and offered him a most generous gift, which the prophet insistently refused. Naaman then asked for some of the earth of Israel, the load of a pair of mules, to take home, that upon Israel's soil he might offer sacrifices to Jehovah, vowing that from then on he would worship no other god. Perhaps Naaman had in mind offering sacrifices to Jehovah upon an altar of ground. 2 Chi 5. 15-17. Compare X 20. 24, 25. Naaman next requested that Jehovah forgive him when, in the performance of his civil duties, he bowed before the god Rimmon with the king, who evidently was old and infirm and leaned for support upon Naaman. If such was the case, then his bowing would be mechanical, being solely for the purpose of dutifully supporting the king's body and not in personal worship. Elisha believed Naaman's sincere request, replying, "Go in peace." 2 Chi 5. 18, 19. After leaving, Naaman was overtaken by Elisha's covetous servant Gehazi, who lyingly made it appear that Elisha had changed his mind and would, after all, accept some gifts. Naaman gladly granted him gifts of silver and garments. But for this greedy and lying act in which he tried, by misusing his office as Elisha's attendant, to profit from the work of Jehovah's Spirit, Jehovah punished him by otextoi acute miritra longo Nabonidus 457 Nara middle ra. 1. Girl. Young woman. A wife of the Judean Asher by whom he had 4 sons. 1 ch 4. 1, 5, 6. 2. From the root meaning shake off. A city on the boundary of Ephraim. Jos 16. 5, 7 thought to be the same as Nararan. 1 ch 7. 28 Nara is generally considered to correspond to the no middle dot o middle dot wrath of Oisbis on Amastic and 136, 24. Josephus seemingly calls this site Nara. He relates that half of its waters were diverted to irrigate the palms near Archelaus Palace at Jericho. Jewish Antiquities, 17, 340-13, 1. It has tentatively been identified with Tel El Jissa, about 3 kilometers to me and W of Jericho. Nara middle dot ri possibly a shortened form of Neariah, meaning boy young man of Jah, son of Ezbah and a mighty man in David's military forces. 1 ch 11. 26, 37 He may be identical with Pari the Arbit mentioned at 2 Samuel 23. 35, in what seems to be a parallel list. Nara middle dot ran from a root meaning shake off. An Ephraimic border city. 1 ch 7. 20, 28, apparently the same as Nara. Jos 16. 5, 7. See Nara no. 2.